All right, guys, so the next bike we're working on is a 2022 Husky TX300. It's out here because we're gonna ride it. And customer complaint is that no matter what he's done, he cannot get the thing to run right. He's done Cooper ECU, he's done reflash of the stock one, he's done the air screw or the idle screw mod, new fuel pump, new filters, all kinds of things. It says it's run pretty much like crap from the get-go. He did have the dealership install a new crankcase pressure sensor. Well, both of those sensors, the CCP anyway, and then also the other altitude, they're the same sensor anyway. And supposedly that was gonna solve it. It felt like okay, but I got an idea here, guys. Listen to this thing. You cannot hear this bike at all. And it's crazy how quiet it is. I have a feeling. And now I've been letting it warm up. Oh, we still got a ways to go here. It's an interesting thing about these TPI bikes, guys. You gotta let them warm up, and they have a thermostat, so it's like, it takes a while to get heat in the radiator, but that's good. At least when it does get hot in the radiator, you know the thing's warmed up. But like this left radiator right now is definitely, you know, warmer than the outside temperature. It's pretty chilly today, but the right one is not. So I'm gonna let that warm up a little bit. I'm gonna ride it around here in the parking lot, and we're gonna come back and talk about it, and then we're gonna do something and see if we can fix this thing. Sucks worse than most. Man, this bike sucks. All right, guys, this bike really sucks bad. Let's go inside and let's take a look at something. All right, I'm guessing you might also be guessing what I'm guessing based on what I said about what I was hearing or not hearing. Let's take a look at this pipe. It is crazy drooling, and it's got this, hang on, let me grab a towel. Version of a spark arrestor, fish. Anyway, it's got some Allens in there. Let's take that thing out of there. I think that thing is holding this thing back. And I don't know if it's been from the get-go, but it's not good. It's definitely not letting nearly enough exhaust out. So let's take that thing out and take a look at it. Right? All right, guys, take a look at that. Can't see any light through it at all, no matter how I look through it. So let's go take this thing for a spin real fast. All right, guys, so I'm taking this thing out to test ride it, and then as I was doing it, I hit the brakes a little harder. Let me see if I can show you what's happening. There we go. Now watch, when I hit the brake, all right, you see that, guys? That is sketchy. So before I go ride that, I'm gonna tighten that down. So the good thing about KTM's / Husqvarna, whatever you want to call this thing. Anyway, this Austrian built motorcycle, it's super simple to get to that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen these top triple clamp bolts and this triple clamp bolt right there. And then we're gonna tighten down the top to 17 Newton meters, retighten everything up, and then we'll be good to go. I'm gonna go test ride it. All right, guys, let's see if this changes. So still plenty of heat in the motor. Already sounds way better. better. Oh, that's weird though. It just died. Probably needs to get cleaned out. And then I don't know. This thing's got to be so loaded up, guys. Like so loaded up from however long he was trying to make it run like that. Now there's gas. Something. Hang on. Guys, it looks like I've just found another weird thing. It looks like it's leaking clutch fluid. I'm gonna go get something to tighten. Let me see if my pliers real fast, if I can tighten that banjo bolt, and I'll get a real wrench here in a second. But yeah, that's loose. Hang on. Okay, the plot thickens. So I found the banjo bolt was loose. You guys saw that outside. I tightened it down. Unfortunately, by the time I tightened it down, it had already lost enough fluid to lose some pressure. So I brought it back inside, and I took the cap off the reservoir, poured some fluid in it, tapped the lever, got the bubbles out, squeeze it, and it, I can't, obviously you can't feel this doing it. Now it's doing weird things when I squeeze this. Sometimes it goes all the way in, like normal, and then other times it is really weird. And the bolts that hold the slave cylinder on were loose. Not super loose, but loose enough that they, anyway. So I took it out, like right over there, right there. It feels like it bottoms out. And when I took it out to go ride it, I fired the bike up, put it in gear, let the clutch out, and nothing happened. And just disengaged no matter what. So this is getting weird. The other thing I found, guys, is that the brake line routing was outside, which is wrong. And it makes me think that maybe this bike wasn't as new as this gentleman thought. Like, I don't know. I'm not 100%. This is weird. Really, really weird stuff. So gonna lay it on its side, take that clutch cover off, and see if we can't find anything going on in there. Obvious, but God, this is really weird. After that, we're gonna have to probably take the slave cylinder off if we don't find anything obvious over there. I don't know. This is this is a head scratcher. Okay. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. So clutch not working. I took the clutch cover off and actually back up. Lots of weird things right on this bike. Like the slave cylinder was loose, the banjo bolt was loose, the brake line routing's different. It came with Brembos. I don't know if the TXs in 22 came with Brembos, but this has got Brembos all the way around. So anyway, take the clutch cover off, and I don't know if you guys can see that as well as I can, but this is definitely dished. The other thing I'm noticing is, and you can see that there's a gap, so that's why it's disengaged right now, and those are bolts from a Recluse. These things stock come with an 8mm head bolt. So this thing definitely had a Recluse in it. That would be why the slave cylinder wasn't all the way properly done. It'd also be why the banjo bolt might not have been tightened. And maybe these things, maybe the TXs came with Brembos. I don't know, but whatever. Also, it's weird, like I said, that the brake line is routed like that, unless it didn't come with Brembos and he put Brembos on and he put it on the wrong side. Anyway, this is my job. I'm like a private detective trying to figure things out. So now we're going to take this apart and see if he left a disc out or what. I don't know. See, now it's tight. That's interesting. I don't know. Guys, this is weird. I'm gonna reinstall this, guys, and then I'm gonna take a look at, maybe that pressure plate was off just a little bit and not lined up with this, which is causing it to hold out. Now, let's see if there's any indication that this was off. Doesn't look like it that I can tell. All right, so we got the bike up here on the lift. We got the slave cylinder off, and I think, well, I found all kinds of weirdness. Let me show you what I found here. Hang on. All right, so here's the slave cylinder the way it's supposed to look. It had this gasket behind it, which is what Recluse uses. We just looked at the parts fish. There's no gasket listed for this stock, so you're supposed to take that off, I think. And then it had this extra O-ring around it, which not supposed to be there, so that's weird. And that's probably why it was not on there all the way. So I took it all apart, pulled the piston out, and it's interesting because this is a bone stock Maguro one that came off of one of these bikes, and this is a Brembo. Again, I don't know, because this came off of a 22 300 also, TX. So I'm not sure why this has a Brembo, but anyway, I think with all this done, now correctly, we got the O-ring only, no gasket, all that. I think we're going to be good to go. So we're going to reinstall. All right, now we have it all installed correctly. I'm going to go get my syringe, fill it up with .4. We're going to force fluid from the bottom up. See if we can't get this sorted out. This is one of the weirdest things I've had to deal with on a bike that looks so new, but I just have a feeling we're just not getting the whole story here. And it could be that the owner doesn't have the whole story, right? I mean, the top triple clamp was so crazy loose. I just can't imagine, that he did that. So I don't know. Anyway, let's bleed this thing. All right, guys, got it all bled, and now the clutch feels like the clutch is supposed to feel. So I'm not 100% sure what was actually all causing all of that, but it's good to go now. I'm happy about that. Let's go. I'm gonna go take this thing down the road. A couple long pulls. I'm not gonna bring you along for it, but we'll come back in and check in and see if we got everything solved. I think we're gonna be good to go. Right on, the bike works perfectly. There it is over there. Very happy that we figured that all out today. Stoked about the running issue just being the spark arrestor. It's going to save him a bunch of money because we didn't have to go searching for other things. Unfortunately, it took a little bit of extra time dealing with that whole clutch situation, but that worked. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure out of all the things I did what exactly it was that totally fixed it. The slave was definitely jacked up. I feel like the install on the pressure plate was messed up too, because like I showed you guys, that thing was concave up there, and then when I took it apart and put it back together, it just like was right. And so I'm thinking the pressure plate was off one, or there was something not quite right. But anyway, we got that sorted. And actually, now that I think about it, it could have been that the push rod was messed up because the slave, man, I don't know. Anyway, taking it all apart, making sure it went all back together correctly on both sides, fixed it. So there you go. If you guys are gonna mess with that stuff, just make sure you're careful everything goes back in the way it came out, or go get the parts fish and look at everything and like make sure you stack it all in there. Also, work or a shop manual always helps too.